Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to Current Art Podcast. I'm Yaching.
I'm Chang'en.
Yeah. So today's topic: female artists before motherhood. You thought that I would have a lot of free time to do my creative works, but actually, there's a lot of anxieties following through.
Yeah, I know you're working hard, artist, and being a student, it's no freedom.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of always have to think about planning different things for your futures. There's never a rest.
hmm Yeah, it's being an artist is always fighting with the schedule. When I think about before having child and then doing work, full-time worker, it's still overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's still, yeah, it's lots going on in my mind.
Yeah, of course. It's always like this.
Yeah.
When you think about what you have to struggle through, especially living in another country, is like your time, money, resources, your effort, courage, and your life. Like how do you manage that different sections of your life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today we are bringing in a Japanese artist called Chiharu Shiota.
Chiharu Shiota. I
Yes.
love her work with the red thread webs, the installation work.
Mm.
Yeah, but she actually have a different style of work before, right?
Yeah, exactly. She's born in 1972, a Japanese performance and installation artist. Since 1996, she has lived and worked in Germany, and her work is engaged with memory, territory, and alien nations. And most of renowned work is like vast room-spanning webs of threads or hoses connect like everyday objects such as keys, window frames, dresses, shoes, boats, and suitcases. And the red thread that she is using is kind of symbolize the blood, also symbolize a human relationship.
Mm.
In 2005, she did a work called House of Windows.
Mm.
Like she collect 200 windows and piecing out together like a house. And this work has done after she arrived in Berlin in 1999. And the tension of Cold War weakened in Berlin. And as a major city, Berlin became a major economic and commercial center. So Shiota kind of turns into historic and abandoned part of the city. Over several years, she collected hundreds of the old windows from the construction sites in former East Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that you can see from the picture that she's having the light sources emitted through the window. Like, what is your first impression of this work?
When I see this work, it was looks like greenhouse, but the house, it means very protective and has to be settled inside. But with the fragile glasses, it doesn't feel comfortable actually.
Yes.
And obviously it's not real house, but I feel really like a juxtaposition of work, the feeling that it's house shape, but feels very fragile.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when she pieces out those windows into a house shape, it doesn't feel so secure and safe. On the other hand, it feels very fragile. It feels very easy to break into. And at that time, the artist travels a lot. And then she's very far away from her hometown city. And then she felt alienated from the culture she's at.
Mm.
Do you have these alienated feelings when you are not in your hometown? country or hometown city?
Yes, I have a lot to talk about alienating
Yeah.
feeling. Yes. Yeah. It's my decision to come here, but still, I feel different than others in this town and in the society. I'm, related. Also, even the Korean immigrant society, I don't feel included. So I felt always kind of far from them. So I'm just identify myself. I'm other from people. Yeah. So, but my personality is not like outgoing and extrovert, right? So I don't try so much to relate with the group of people outside. So
What social situation makes you feel alienated, for example?
mostly about the language. I feel much comfortable talking in English with one-on-one. I mean, speaking Korean is my native language, so that's ideal. But I'm living in U.S. I have to speak in English. But I always have anxiety in front of people.
Do you have anxiety when you're presenting something to the group?
Of course, yes. It's terrible.
How does it feel like when you feel this alienation?
So like I'm much better right now because since I've been doing the schooling, I'm doing presentation and group talking. But still, I'm kind of always a back, sit in the back and then last person to talk. But the other day when we have to talk about our final project in the classroom, and I had an idea, but I can't really organize in my thoughts because my heart starting to pumping, and then but still I have to try to explain with a fragment word and grammar. And after I finish my talking, I see people's face was like very questionable. It's kind of like nobody's asking about specific the description, just like what does that mean? That kind of question they have. What does that mean?
You mean they don't understand?
They don't
what
understand
you're
what I'm
talking
saying.
about?
Yes.
Uh,
So that whenever at that kind of situation, I get freeze, and I get really, my low self-esteem. Yeah.
you feel like your body is freezing,
Yeah, freezing.
that you cannot move so much, and then your heart is pumping very fast. That's is extreme physical reaction towards this situation, and it's very relatable to this artwork that we are sharing. It feels like if you're sitting inside of those glass house, and there's a kind of danger this glass window is going to shatter on you.
Oh
So
my
you're
gosh.
in this constant danger or this constant anxiety of this is going to happen like in any minute.
I
This
feel
is
like that way.
totally my personal interpretation.
Yeah, I think it's just I can feel it when you're describing about this shattering glasses toward me. I feel like that way. It's my brain is just fog, and I can't think. It's just stopped. Only white in front of me.
Have you ever experienced that how to get out of this alienation and how to get out of this anxiety? Do you have that experience?
Without medication, no. I can't. I need to take time to just drinking water, and just sit down myself. After 20 minutes, maybe I will settle down. Yeah, but it's not easy. Yeah, for 20 minutes, just kind of, my brain is freeze.
Shiota was also talked about how people viewing each other's life from each side, I mean from outside of the house and inside of the house. I feel like there's also this concern of being looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Even though in your private space, you're constantly being inspected by other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that too. That's anxiety.
Even though you're in your own space, like personal space, and seems very secure.
I always close my curtain. I mean, today we are doing this, and you want light. That's why I open it. But I always close the curtain.
Do you think living in Long Island, your neighbor is also inspecting your house?
Oh yes, yeah.
Why is it like that?
Because it's community, and then they want the town looks nicer, and then they even, I mean, if that's really conservative, selfish neighbors, they will get attacked if the other neighbors is not in their race group. I mean, yeah, it happens. Like that's why it's there's a white people town and the black people town and the Asian people town. It happens. And it's not just that. And then, like they're checking about their doors open or grass is overgrown. That kind of thing. I think you remember last year one of the IMA the graduate made a documentary about the grass watcher kind of thing. The woman from southern, and then the neighbors constantly judging each other about their lawns.
If their grass has been cut.
If grass is not perfect, then the town will say something.
Why is it like that?
Because I don't know, it's about the looking. It's like the presentation has to be good. But it's not just my houses matter. The whole town has to look nice. Yeah.
It seems like a very stressful living situation if my personal property has to be judged and criticized all the time by my neighbors. I don't think I can live in that town.
Yeah.
Does it happens in Long Island too? Like people would expecting your neighbors to cut the lawn and...
Well, it's not aggressive in my town because it's close to city. But yes, it's there. That vibe, yes. Yeah. Do you have any anxiety about somebody else's looking at you, judging, or some kind of judgmental anxiety? I guess.
I guess
yeah.
I'm afraid that people think I'm not being educated.
You are smart. You're in grad school.
No, but it's not because of I'm in a school. I'm always afraid that maybe I don't know enough knowledge about the political matters, and then maybe I don't know enough about histories of the specific city and specific place that I'm living in, and also in social situations. I mean, I don't know all the pop cultures. I might not know every songs and every movies. So in those places, like in those situations, I have to improvise myself, right, to keep up the conversation. So sometimes I would really put myself into a very performative state. I would even act like another character to get over this kind of social anxiety. So I also have it.
Wow, that's interesting. I never thought you have that kind of thoughts because you always have a really interesting topics you're talking, and you know a lot in this culture, even though you came from outside of U.S.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. But I guess everybody has their own insecurities,
Sure.
and each person are worried about different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, for myself, I never worried about if I'm saying wrong words
Mm.
and if I'm using the wrong grammars, even though during the podcast. I mean, I try to avoid it, but somehow I feel like I couldn't totally um, fix myself. Like, I couldn't totally say everything uh, in 100% correctness. And so I kind of like forgive myself in the language level. But of course, I always worried about if what I'm saying is actually useful to another person. So I am afraid that I'm taking up other person's like time.
Mm.
Like in those interpersonal communication or in a class, in the work settings, I always wanted to make sure that I'm speaking in the bullet points so
Mm-hmm.
other people understand and they can understand the values
Mm-hmm.
of my like talk. It's either entertaining value, they find it funny, or some informational value. So they think, okay, this is the information that I don't know of. Of course, this way of living is very exhausting.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think you're doing very good job. You're very analyzed and then organized speaking and thoughts. I always impressed about your speech because I am the worst one make a fragment grammar and words, and my thought is all over. But you always like, so is that mean like you always like and reanalyze my terrible speaking? But
No, not
yeah.
really. Because I feel like we are living in a culture that is so good at presenting informations.
Mm.
They are trained to present information, I think,
Mm.
in a very fluent, smooth way. And I found while I was living in China, Germany, Turkey, India, I realized that when other people learning 100% of the information, maybe what they can express is 60% or 50% or even less. But in this culture, if you learn 100%, then you can present like 120%. You can present 200%.
Mm.
There's a strong skill of expressing themselves and storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the really strong point of the being Americans. I really wanted to learn.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about like female artists before motherhood. Like what do you think are the advantages of being a female artist without kids?
Well, I can say enjoy this time because even though it's a lot going on, and then I think it's the you're busy because your mind is busy in this time when before you have kids. But after being a mom, you don't have time to think.
Really?
You don't. I worry about only like how to say. Okay, so it's very complicated. Now I actually being a mom, but it's off from really busy, terrible time because my son is 5 now. It's much easier, but when baby's born, and first 3 years is not possible to do anything. It's myself is not my whole mind.
Mm.
It's not me.
Mm.
It's just like I'm just like a human body attached to the baby.
Yes.
Yeah, so the baby is the ruler.
The
I have to serve.
responsibility.
Yeah, I have to serve baby.
The king
Yeah,
of the world.
yes.
And we are all the slaves.
Anyway, so babies really so demand. So it's first 3 years with my first daughter, it was busy, and then I got a little bit of easier, and I started to do schooling, and I got pregnant right away. And usually people are when they have a pregnancy when they are pregnancy period, people are doing something else, going out and you know their individual life. But I had such a terrible pregnancy, so I couldn't move anything. So I had to lay on the bed almost all the time.
Mm.
So yeah, basically before baby's born, 9 months, and then after baby's born, 3 years was just deleted.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, the point is the physically it's not yourself after you have baby.
Mm.
So enjoy this, like just use your time as much possible.
That's a
Yeah.
very great advice because
Yeah.
I don't think I'm use my time like aggressively.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have like
yeah.
so many different thoughts, but sometimes I just don't put it into the action.
Right. It's exhausted by your thinking. And thinking is energy using too. So you're think so much, but if you don't go out, not do or working, that's not progressive, right? Just thinking is not progressive. You have to do act.
That's true.
So when you do use your body, do it right now. Otherwise you don't have time.
I know. Like recent months I've been so miserable because of different things. And then I recently started to do yoga in the morning, like every day 1 hour. So I go to the yoga studio and I realize it after like a month that you're not moving a lot, and then you all of a sudden engage in such a intense activity, physical training. It's so like exhausted, it's so demanding, this kind of physical training, because of your energy kind of fluctuated.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in order to have a stable mind, stable physical energy, if you it will be very helpful if you actually manage to engage, for example, every day for 1 hour or 30 minutes of exercise, like each single day, and not just to, for example, intensively train your body for 6 months, then take a rest for 1 month. This is very harmful. So have a fluctuated like exercise time is actually very, very hard on your own body.
Yeah, I think you have to regulate your physical activity. Just make a habit. I think it's very important for you. And once you get used to it, it'll get easier. It'll get easier. So, and also build the muscle on your body.
Yeah.
It's more important.
So once you don't maintain this habit, like your physical energy kind of dropped.
Yes.
And then you want to restore it takes a whole amount of time.
That's right. So anything you started new thing is very hard.
Like mental practice. You practice also about expressing ideas and the information that you have learned as an artist.
Right. And also the creative works too. I mean, even though sometimes you don't have idea, but do something every single day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep your hand busy. Like if you're writing, no matter what you're write about, just write.
Right.
Like bullshit, just write.
Exactly.
Drawing something doesn't matter if it's good or not.
Do you do that?
No, sorry. But I think it's good to say it out loud. Then you will follow. Action will follow the words.
Yes.
So talk high, stay high, don't go down.
Exactly. Yeah. I believe that. Yes.
Another incredible work from this artist, Shiota,
Mm-hmm.
called In Silence, that she made in 2002.
Mm.
So you go into the exhibition hall, like it's enormous, and you will see a burned piano sitting in the middle of the room,
Mm.
entangled with millions of threads connecting to the ceiling and made a huge giant net covering the whole space. And at the distance, you will see so many of burned chairs, and they are also tangled with the thread. Everything is so dark, and you see the shimmering shadows on the floor. It feels like this whole installation can eat you up.
Mm. Yeah, it's really, really strong feeling with that really thin thread, million of thin thread, and becomes taking over whole space. It feels like it's fog, and then it's black color with a burnt.
Yes, exactly. This fog is
Yeah.
almost like a dark, burnt smoke.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cover your body. It's
It,
going to
yes.
eat your flesh and this kind of
Mm-hmm.
feelings.
Yep. It's amazing work.
So imagine you walk into this kind of place. Would you be afraid?
Yeah, I think so. I'm very good at imagination myself. I can, yeah, I can tell I already feels overwhelmed with a huge space, with a black thread fogs, yeah, coming over my body.
Mm.
Yes.
You might have more feelings after I share this quote from Shiota.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "When I was 9, there was a fire at house next to ours. The next day, there was a piano sitting outside of the house, scorched until it was jet black. It seemed an even more beautiful symbol than before. An infinable silence came over me, and over the next few days, whenever the window blew that burning smell into our house, I could feel my voice started to cloud over. There are things that sink deep into the recesses of my mind, and others that fail to take either a physical or verbal form, no matter how hard you try, but they exist as souls without a tangible form. The more you think about them, the more their sounds disappear from my mind, and the more tangible their existence becomes."
Wow. But she felt this, the burnt piano with the burnt smell, with, blowed window, the wind. And she started to remember about what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I think she uses the visuals to recreate this physical sensation, like
Mm-hmm.
how you smell that thing on that day that the fire came out.
Mm. Yeah, I have experience with the smells, the memory. Yeah, whenever I smell like the wind when the weather's changing between the summer to fall, it smells really different. It smells fresher and some kind of water, mist, and some kind of really deep, cold, and fresh air. And remember, that smells makes me remember about when I was like little elementary school, walking down the falling leaves of trees wet falling leaves tree.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I think from the work in silence, it's also very interesting. The piano is not playing anymore. The piano is in silence.
Because it's burnt.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over. Maybe the piano used to play the sound, but right now it's all wrapped in this miserable thread. It's being confined in this burnt form. It couldn't become anything else anymore.
But she remember of her screaming through that burnt smell. But actually, it was not actual sound, her imagination.
Yes.
So that's perfectly captured in silent moment.
Yeah. So the memories can be so subjective, especially the traumatic experiences. Like how we process it in our body, how we process it in our mind. Each person is so different, even though we maybe go through the same traumatic events. And it's also very interesting when she said those kind of memories that you cannot express it with words.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to express. It was a life-changing experience of me giving birth, because I had anxiety attack right after I had the first child. The baby was big. That is one of the reason I had a lot of blood. And I lost a lot of blood, and I think it was overwhelming of the situation. The life's changing.
Yes.
So I couldn't breathe. I think I don't know. Doctor didn't say anything, but I got anxiety attack and then some kind of blood clot issue. It can happen to the mother just had a baby. So anyway, I had to like kind of coma situation for several hours. I don't know what happened, but I just lost my memory right after I had a baby. So that was tragic moment. It's happy, but also it was really life-threatening for me having child. So
I think every story or anything that in the world have this duality. On the one hand, you gain something, you gained a newborn baby and it's a new life. But the other side, you're losing all of those strength and then the blood, and it's so painful. And everything costs, this old saying, because you don't get anything for nothing. You always like pay something.
Right.
And that's so true. Even though you become a mother, that this is such a joyful thing, but like people have to understand, or yourself have to understand, what have you give to gain this precious gift in your life.
Right. So I think that I can't explain what it is, but it was joyful and then painful, and then everything is mixed.
This is very interesting because I think this is also very related to what Shiota's work was saying about this entangled and inseparable thing that's happening, like life.
Right.
It's all tangled together.
All tangled and tangled life.
Yeah. And all of our memories, realities, kind of all tangled. It's kind of inseparable if we think about past present, and the future. They're all intertwined together.
Exactly.
And it's really hard, for me at least, to try to find logic to separate them one by one. It's a difficult job. So what I can do is just to experience that, to seeing them tangled up, even though that it seems somehow disturbing, it seems somehow uncomfortable.
That's your feeling in toward to your life right now. I mean,
Uh,
did I say something like not make sense?
no, I think you are right, because we all get those moments that we feel like everything is mixed up.
Yes.
I think that is a very universal feeling of being in this world and living in the metropolitan city, and also witnessing wars happening at the moment, racial injustice, any inequality happens. But then there's also another side of joyful life. There's another side of every day, like new life is blooming. Like every day you get a bit joyful sensation of the little things in your life.
Right. Yeah, life is an entangled ball. No matter how old you are, well, no matter which statement of the society you are, it's all kind of mixture of your stories in, that's your life. But I think it's just what's the point of being a single? So you can look at your life much closer because you don't have distraction.
Really?
I mean, yeah, distraction, but it's all related with you.
That's true.
But now, I mean, I'm not gonna compare. I have a really joyful life, with my kids. But just like, being an artist and woman, what's there is no way to be having both, have fully focused on artist, and family life is totally different story. So anyway, what you are having struggle, your thought is everyone is understand. Like, it's as a human, it's great experience because you can step up with that all entangled your life story. Then you can look at your trouble, your life closely because very hard. I think I don't compare the before motherhood is easier or mother after having kids is difficult. No, it's not. It's everyone has the same weight of struggle. Everyone has their own struggle. But just like have a little bit more of a chance to focus on yourself to look at
Before the motherhood.
Yeah. I mean, if you have so much distraction other than family, then it'll be hard. It really depends on situation and in your mind. And you don't have enough strength to look at yourself, then also it's difficult.
It's actually very precious when you have the ability to really reflect on what's going on in your life or in your work, and have the ability to assess those information and analyze it, and to reimagining it in your mind.
Yes.
Is a precious gift. I cannot complain. I actually couldn't complain about my life.
You're why would complain?
Because I realize that in so many situations, I always have a choice.
Yes.
Like when we were in any of those struggles, then we are so into it, then we forgot we always have a choice
That's true.
of making decisions, you know? Maybe it's a little decision, maybe it's just a decision of which vegetables I'm going to eat this morning or which fruit I'm going to take this morning. It's still a decision, it's still some sort of like power.
That's right. You made your decision.
Yeah, so even those little decision moments, if you carefully accumulate them, if you don't take it for granted, you will realize that there's so many moments I can decide. I can use my logical brain, I can use my emotion to make like beneficial for myself. As you said earlier today, like to make yourself important.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs work. That needs every single moment a conscious, kind effort to yourself.
That's right. Yeah. So you are the most person understand yourself and then can treat best yourself.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
This is responsibility. And then when you're single, you cannot really rely on other people to make this choice for you.
I love that.
So
Keep going.
the people who are single outside, enjoy this free moment. It's very precious.
Yeah, don't make others manipulate your life.
What did you say?
Don't make other people manipulate your life.
Don't make other people manipulate your life. Always put yourself in priority.
That's right. That's right.
So that's the message of today. Very good.
Okay.
So very nice to spend another Sunday morning with you, and we hope to see you next week. So we are updating our podcast every
Sunday, 10 a.m.
We are available on YouTube video, YouTube podcast, YouTube music, Spotify, Pocket Podcast, Apple Podcast, and our Instagram account is.
Current.artpodcast.
Don't forget to.
And then subscribe.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.
That's a good amount of. Okay. Good job.